So this is a 15th century manuscript roll. It's a genealogy, which is essentially a family tree, and it's a royal family tree, so it deals with the British kings. It's a really interesting one because it was produced at the time of the Wars of the Roses, when there was a lot of discussion about power, authority, and who had the claim to authority. And it's produced during the reign of Henry VI, and he came to the throne as a minor, so there was a lot of political infighting. He was reliant on advisors, and ultimately this ends up in his deposition by Edward IV. The document itself is an attempt to underscore royal power and link the British kings all the way back to key figures in the Bible to demonstrate their authority. And if you look around the roll, you can see these incredible sort of strong coloured lines, very vivid, that were intended to show this unbroken line of power to say who has the authority in this kingdom.
This is a very special occasion, as it's never happened before, that important objects like this from a library, archive, and they would bring it to us. Or museum objects never leave museums normally to come to a lab. Today we're using our spectral imaging system to scan this roll completely at high resolution. And the difference between spectral imaging and your normal color imaging, which normally museums get it done like that, is that instead of having 3 channels, red, green and blue, we chopped it up into 10 channels so that we can get the spectral information of the materials. So we can identify the materials like the ink, the paint, and also in addition to just have a beautiful high-resolution color image, we also get information that we cannot currently see. Based on our past experience working with manuscripts, we know that for whatever reasons, they sometimes erase, for political changes, they may erase what was there before and rewrite it in, or something like that. So we will be able to get that information as well. And that should be the future, we think, of digitization, because currently digitization just means high-resolution color images. But for the future, we should do it instead using spectral image, so that you get still your high-resolution color image, but much more